In this session, let's learn about dedicated versus shared servers. Okay? We know when a user makes a connection to the Oracle instance, a process is created on the server. Right? This process is dedicated to that one user's session. If we have 4 users running, we have 4 processes running in the Oracle instance. That means for every user connection, there is a new process created within the Oracle instance. Once the process is created, the communication goes back between the user session and that process. So each user will be interacting with the corresponding process. You see, we have 4 users running and we have 4 processes, each communicating with their own process. So if we have to create all these processes in the Oracle instance, it obviously consumes memory, right? As the number of concurrent connection increases, the amount of memory required by all these dedicated server processes increases, right? That means we need to have a lot of physical memory. Our physical memory needs to be big enough so that all these processes can be created, right? And one more thing is, since we are not as fast as the processors, maybe we request for data and then the process sends the data to you. Maybe you are looking at the data and this process is sitting idle, right? Until the user sends one more request, this process is sitting idle in the Oracle instance, right? That means even though these processes are consuming memory, they are not being used all the time, right? So Oracle came up with a concept of shared server database. In the shared server database, all the users will share the server processes sitting in the Oracle instance. Okay, that means one shared server process is used by many connected users. What does this provide? This provides scalability. That means a huge number of users can connect without the need of creating individual processes for each user. Okay, how does it work? As soon as a user requests for some data, it goes through the dispatcher process and then the request is placed in the queue. And based on the order received, the request is sent to the shared process which are running on the Oracle instance, and these processes run and send the response, and then the dispatcher process sends the response to the user. Okay, that means every time you send a request to Oracle instance, that is sent to a queue. It waits in the queue until its turn comes, and then once its turn comes, the request will be processed and then the response is sent back to the user. Okay, now you are thinking, which one is better? Is dedicated server better or shared server better? To be honest, nobody is using shared servers these days. But you are thinking why? Nowadays, memory is so cheap and you can really get big physical memory. So there is no scarcity in the amount of physical memory we can have on the server, right? So all the organizations are going for the dedicated servers. In that way, each user gets its own process and the response is fast. Okay, here the user has to wait for his turn to come, and then once the request is processed, then only the response is sent to the user. But here, since he has a dedicated connection to the process, the user can get the results immediately. Okay, Oracle database supports both this configuration, dedicated server and shared server. If you think in your organization you cannot spend that money to have enough memory, then you can go with shared server. It's very rare since the memory is so cheap. So 99% of the organizations use the dedicated servers. Okay?